happened again. I paused the camera, I paused the video, and all of a sudden the alerts hit straight away and we're now rallying to the take profit. As you guys can see, we're up around $8,000. If this trade hits the take profit, I think it's around, around 11, 12K, which would be very, very nice 5-figure day. But I guess we'll see what happens. Again, this area is very, very key. We need to see it close below here. Obviously we have 3 minutes left of the candle, so you know, anything could happen. But yeah, we're hoping for a nice close below, which will continue on the next candle to a drop to the take profit. Okay guys, so here we go. We're now dropping towards the take profit. Like I said, bits of consolidation, a bit of uncertainty around this level, but now we're getting the drop down. You know, trade wise, we're currently up just about 10K, you know, 10K without commission. With commission, we're up like 9.8. There you go. You guys can see it there. So hopefully 9.9, we're going to touch 10. Let's touch 10 live on the cam. Come on. Come on. Hit 10K. See, it wants to drop, but now I put it on the camera, it doesn't want to turn to 10K. You know, this is just typical Forex. As soon as the camera's on the trade, it never usually works. It's literally as simple as that. It doesn't want to give us 10K. Doesn't want to give us 10K yet. When it drops, it'll give us 10K. That's a bonus. This trade is very, very nice. Very, very nice. And you know, it gets us nicely back into the full swing of trading. You know, targeting these 1 to 3s, a couple trades per week max. Obviously you could trade every single day and you probably get better results over the month, and that's something that I have been experimenting. You know, the last week or so I've started testing the optimal trade amount per month. You know, you've got to look at it in the sense of, okay, you might be making more profit, but you're also exposing yourself to a lot more risk. If you're only taking 5 trades a month, worst case scenario, you lose 5%. So if you're taking 20 trades per month or 25 trades, you know, obviously excluding weekends, you then could potentially lose 25 trades in a row or 25% in a month. So you've got to look at, you know, the likelihood of this happening. What is your consecutive wins and losses? You know, if you're using a platform such as, you know, Edgewonk, or even you have your own formulas in Excel or Google Sheets or anything like that, you can work these things out. As long as you know after 5 wins, what's your likelihood of then going on to a losing streak? Or after 2 wins, what's your likelihood of then going on to a losing streak? These are stats which you should actually know. So I've been testing all of this out, collecting a lot of data to see if it's worth me actually entering, if there's a trade there every single day. At the moment, it's performing a lot better than, you know, a few trades, but it also depends on your lifestyle. Maybe there's a few days in that month or a week in that month where you can't actually trade properly. So then what if that one week is the best week and then that makes up for all the losses for the week after? These are things which you've got to think about, and can play a huge factor in the results in the long term. But obviously no risk, no reward in trading, as you guys know. And prices again pulling up. We're only up 8.7K again. It's very, very annoying, very, very slow, but yeah, you know what I was just doing when I saw price drop, I thought I'd try and catch the take profit on camera. Usually I just set the alert and wait for it to hit the take profit, but you know, I wanted to do it live for you guys, you know, seeing the take profit hit and everything like that. So don't worry, I don't usually just sit here, stare at the charts, just like, okay, hit take profit, you know, it's not usually like that. Don't you guys worry. Okay guys, so we are up 10K now on the trade, as you see. Of course it changes to 9 as soon as I show you guys. There we go. You saw 10. There we go. 10K on the account. Very, very lovely. Very, very nice. Getting very, very close. You know, we're only a couple pips away. Here we go. Ready to hit the take profit. Ready for the alert to go off and deafen me. See, we're 1.2 pips away from hitting the take profit. Very, very, very nice. But we have faith in the trade. The trade is still valid for me. Trade is still valid. And you know the funny thing, I usually put my stop loss at 10 pips and then my take profit at 30 pips. But I put it just below at 31.4. Whereas if I had it exactly 30, it would have actually hit the take profit. But you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. I still see price dropping further. You know, I still see price dropping, you know, if we continue this downtrend, you know, potentially to, let me just get the other tool, potentially to, you know, this level here, this level here. And then if we break that, then potentially down to around this level here. So these are the two areas which I actually see price going to, this level and this level. Obviously we could drop, come back up and everything first, but they're kind of the areas which I actually see price going to. But after this trade has actually hit take profit, I'm going to film a breakdown video, full breakdown for the mentorship group to go through, you know, exactly why I entered, everything like that. And there we go, take profit is hit, and we've smashed a 1 to 3 on GBP USD. So as you guys see, I've shown you pretty much start to finish. You know, we were at break even and now we've hit the take profit for a 1 to 3. 3%, it's very, very nice. You know, if you're on a 200k, 400k account, 3% is a lot of money. You know, 6k, 12k profit, it's very, very nice. And a lot of people don't realize this. You don't need very, very high risk reward setups to actually make tens of thousands of pounds per month. As long as you're making 3 to 5% per month on a larger account, maybe you have multiple funded accounts and you're trading maybe 500k, a million. 2% is 20k on a million. Would you be happy with 20k per month making 1%? Of course you would. You know, it's or 2% even. So you just got to think of it in terms of percentage. It might not be a lot for your account right at this current minute, but in the long term, would that be a lot of money? The answer is yes. So just think in the long term and, you know, master the skill set rather than trying to get rich quick. And then that will definitely pay dividends in the long run. So time to film this breakdown for the mentorship group, and then I'll catch you guys in the next video.